good evening and welcome back to Shooting the Shit, a Tottenham Talk show with me, Lee the Dorset Spur. And what a week it has been. This is episode 22 so far. And I don't think there's ever been one as miserable as it is at this moment in time. This could be a very difficult discussion. But listen, we're here to give you some therapy, to make you know that you are not alone, that there are other people suffering, but not in silence. Joined today, I am with my three Essex friends. Dino, how you doing, Dino? Good to see you getting in. It's just in time to join us tonight. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, buddy. You?
Yeah, surviving just about. Lieutenant Dan.
Oh, we start with that now, are we? Good evening, Lee.
We also have with us at Sweary Alex. How you doing, Alex? You all right, mate? You're not been busy
mate,
too much today.
Yeah, been busy day, lots of driving,
Lots of
fitting
driving.
locks. Yeah, so yeah.
But you managed to get here in time this week, which is a real bonus, right?
Yeah, very much so, mate. Rushed through the traffic just to see you and hear your sweet tones.
Ah, bless you. And of course, we have with us a young man who sees things differently to us old codgers. And we also have with us young Mason. Hello, Mason.
Hello, Lee. You feeling any better now, or about the game, or?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I'm still raging, to be honest.
Don't blame me.
But I am trying my best to temper it down and try and think logically. I literally, as I left the ground on Sunday, I wanted to do my reaction video then, but I thought it's probably not a good idea because I was inconsolable and miserable. So I waited until the next day, and then I kind of tried to put my thoughts together. And even then, it's a real miserable watch, to be honest. And I'm not sure I can be very positive today, but we'll see. But listen. I guess we need to crack on with it and get through the detail of a thoroughly miserable result. So, Dean, let me start with you, mate. I don't know, just very quickly sum it up for me. Your overall thoughts on the game.
Do you know what? It's worse now that one, I'm not angry about the result. I am resigned to the result of how bad we are, and that tells you something, mate. If you can't get so emotionally involved in it that you're so pissed off about it, you're angry about it, or you're happy about it, whatever it is, if you're resigned to go in there and watch them and like not even having a thought that they might win the game, then we are in trouble. Really, really in trouble.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I am still raging and still getting upset. So maybe I'm not quite there yet. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Alex, what about you? How are you feeling? What was your overall view on the game?
I was disappointed with the result. I do think we should have. Well, we could have buried them in the first half, but we didn't. We were just missing a link somewhere, really. We're just missing the link up. So disappointed with the result. I always like watching them play, but it just looked a bit unorganised, and there was no passion. Everyone's still jogging about, and everyone's still watching the ball. It's what it is, isn't it? I even asked the policeman outside, didn't we, Dean? We asked the police if they'd go inside the ground and arrest them all, because I said to them, "There's been a crime committed." He went, "Where?" I went, "In there." And then he said, "We haven't got the cell space." And then I said to him, "Well, I'm sure it's not the paperwork." And he went, "No," he said, "because actually I'm an Arsenal supporter." Which then I asked his colleague to arrest him for being an Arsenal supporter, and he refused to do it. So nobody wanted to do anything really, whether it was the police or Tottenham Hotspur. So disappointed with the result, but I always enjoy watching them play.
Okay. Mason, anything to add to your overall view of that performance?
It's just same story all year. Just team is on its last legs. We can't string it out. Then again, we should be beating Leicester. We've lost to 4 out of the 5 teams below us, which is shocking. Lost to Palace, lost to Everton, lost to Leicester, lost to Ipswich, and the only one that we haven't lost to, touchwood, is Southampton. So it's getting shocking, really. But no, it's. I said it before the podcast that it's gone from Spurs losing and I'm getting bantered at work to now I'm being asked if I'm okay, and it's quite funny, really. But
yeah,
but no,
when the opposition fans are checking in on you just to say like, "Are you all right, mate?" You know,
that's when you know it's bad.
Yeah, I had a one-to-one. I had a one-to-one meeting with my boss today, and he said his first things to me was, "I won't ask you about the football. Let's not talk about that because you're probably going through a terrible place." And this is my boss, like, to talk to me about it. So I'm like, yes, mate, absolutely, absolutely. Listen, I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about is the starting lineup and the opportunities around that. So I'm just going to put it up there. So, of course, we started off with Kinski in goal, Pedro Porro, Dragushin, Davis, and Gray as your back line. Bentancur, Bergvall, Sarr, Kulusevski, Richarlison, and Son. And I guess my first point is, on the face of it, that's probably as best as we could have imagined. When you look at the bench, you've got Austin, Reggie. I'll say that. Bissouma, IJ, Elusi, Minhook, Moore, and Lancashire. And you look at that, you think, Jesus Christ, the only one in there that really gives you anything is Bissouma. And to be honest with you, I didn't even realise Bissouma was on the bench. And then after the game, Big Ange comes out and he says, Sarr shouldn't have played, but we didn't have any other options because of an injury to Maddison that came in short notice. And of course, Richarlison, he said, felt his groin, but I still let him play on for another 10 minutes because he wanted to give another 10 minutes of it. And I have to say, I don't know, we'll talk about the managerial situation a bit later, but I just can't see how he's helping himself there. I really just can't see it, because if you've got Bissouma on the bench, are we saying that Bissouma was more injured than Sarr? And if Bissouma's more injured than Sarr, what's he doing on the bench? But I think there was a couple of other opportunities that we could have gone with. Dean, let me come back to you. Looking at that lineup, do you think that's the best that we could have done, knowing now what we know, knowing then what we know now? Would you have gone with this, or would you have gone with a different kind of setup?
There's no point bringing in subs just to make up the numbers if they're not good enough to play, right?
Yeah.
So let them play. Let them show the hunger, right? Let them say, right, I am good enough to be here. I'm good enough to be on the bench. I'm good enough to be on the pitch. There's no point putting on Sarr if he's injured. He's not going to bring on Bissouma because he's probably injured or knackered. So play play a couple of kids. It makes no sense to have them and have them any around the team if they're not good enough to be a sub. Let them play, right? What can we do any worse than lose? No, we could. Yeah, we'll lose more. We lose badly. It don't freaking matter at this point. Put them on. At least let them have a go. Because at the moment, all we're watching is turgid, slow football. The whole idea of Ange ball was to be quick on the break, high press, high speed football, and we've got none of that. All the stuff that he come with is fucking like watching the Labour government at the moment. It's all bollocks and lies, isn't it? Because nothing what he said is happening.
Bit of politics.
It is. Yeah, it's just not good enough. It's boring to watch now. It's so predictable. You know exactly where you're going. We don't go through the middle anymore. Where we should sort of go out, break up for the middle, and then go out to the wings. We're playing the same stuff over and over and over again. When Kinski first come, we thought, wow, this kid's like the wonder kid. His distribution with the ball, he's quick, he's out, we're on the break fast. It's been coached out of him in 2 fucking weeks. Right? You watch him now, it happened at the Everton game when beforehand he would go to the ball, his distribution was good. He was playing out like the sweeper keeper and putting ball out wide or, going long, going over the top, and we was breaking. But now, oh, you have it. It's Dragusin over to bloody Davis. Dragusin over to Davis. By that time, they've either pressed us or got back into their formation and then we then got to try and break them down with a low block. Mate, shit football. Sorry, but it is.
Yeah, I guess the one for me, because I'm questioning the issue of Ange saying that Sarr had to play, but we didn't have anybody else, right? And I'm like, well, hold on, we've got a Reguilon on the bench, and I know Gray did okay at left back. In my view, I thought he had a decent game. He was high up the pitch and everything, right? But he's got Reguilon on the pitch. Why can't he mess with that formation and maybe bring him in and push Gray into midfield, which he did in the second half anyway? Or failing that, why don't he put him to right back, put Porro into further up the pitch and move Kulusevski into the centre? Because Kulusevski prefers to play in the centre and you get more from him. In terms of this game, I didn't think he was particularly good at all at right wing. I didn't think he produced an awful lot during the game, if I'm being honest. And we know that Porro can put a ball in. Mason, what do you think of that? Am I talking bollocks or?
In terms of what the left back situation?
Yeah, you got Reguilon. He's Anne just told us he's ready to play. He's in the team. He's in the squad. Blah blah blah. And yet he's just not using him at all. And then he's complaining that he's not got any options.
Yeah, no, he's. To be fair, he should be using the players he's got, like Reguilon, like Moore, like Lancashire, like Basuma. Even if, like what you said, we don't know if Basuma was more injured than Sarr, but if so, why is he on the bench? Players that I think the youngsters are putting in, I think it was something like 180 minutes a week, and they're 18. Like that's a way to burn out your youth academy. That's a way to burn out your young players. So he should be using all the players he's got available, especially when he has to. You can't be playing Gray week in, week out, Dragusin week in, week out. You need to make some sort of change. And having Reguilon on the bench and sitting there, when I'm not being funny, the last game he come on, he put a shift in, was Liverpool in the Cup. He come on, defensively solid, going forward, he was good. But then since then, not a lick of minutes. It's same with Moore. Like we saw Moore when he played against PSV, bearing in mind it was the Europa League. He played very well. I think he only started the next game because Son was a doubt. It's just, and just at the moment, he hasn't got the dynamics there. I don't know what it is. I mean, it could be down to, having only 8 players over the age of 18 in our squad ready to play. Or it could be down to the fact that he just doesn't want to change up. But it's all in the air. It's a weird moment for Spurs because there's so many problems, you don't know what the big one is.
I guess, from my point of view, I'm just looking at the idea, of this guy saying that he hasn't got the players and all the rest of it. But then it concerns me when he doesn't use everyone that he's got. And I get it that Reguilon may not be as good as Gray at left back. You may not want him there. You may not want to risk him in there. And to be fair, Lappers has made a point of saying, the team that we put out there was good enough and should be good enough to beat Leicester, right? They're right at the bottom now and won for 6 games or whatever. And that team that I put up should be enough, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we know that sometimes players are not playing as well as they could do. And when you've got Sarr in there and you're carrying him, and we all saw it, for me personally, I thought he was really poor. He was giving the ball away all the time. He wasn't dynamic enough in the press or anything like that. And I just think to myself, I can't understand why you wouldn't utilise those players, because he had to in the end. He had to move Gray into the central role in the end. So why not take that opportunity earlier on? Alex, I'll come to you on this one as well, right? Because when he was talking about Richarlison, he had to take Richarlison off because Richarlison felt something in his groin, apparently, right? But he wanted to play on for another 10 minutes. Now, Richarlison's our only striker. But he takes him off. He moves Son into a striking position and brings on Mikey Moore. Now, personally, I'm happy to see Mikey Moore come on the pitch. I think he's dynamic. I think he's a good player. But then you've got Lancashire sat on the bench, who is an out-and-out striker, and you're moving Son from a position where he wasn't playing particularly well. I didn't think he had a particularly good game, dare I say it. But you move him into a less favoured position and expect to get something special out of him. What's your view? Would you have entertained the idea of Lancashire coming in? Bearing in mind, by the way, sorry to ramble on, but bearing in mind, he's talking about you've got two 18-year-olds in that team already. You've just brought on a 17-year-old. Lancashire is 19. So if he's not ready at 19 and these other kids are ready at 17 and 18, then I'm concerned he's just not going to be good enough. So maybe he shouldn't be in there in the first place. But he's your only other option, surely.
Well, Son did have a couple of attempts first half, didn't he? So he did give it a shift sort of thing. But I don't know. I think Ange Postecoglou is just too scared to try anything, or he hasn't got a clue. I just don't know. Like Dean said, if the youngsters are there, get them on. Like Dean said, what is the worst that can happen? We can lose. But
yeah,
I'd rather lose trying than lose, not trying sort of thing. I'm just dumbfounded for words, to be honest with you, Lee. If he's there, use him. If they're there, use him. I don't like. I'm not a great fan of Charlison anyway, but yeah, no, it's a bit strange. And people around me were asking the question, why is he taking off our only striker? Doesn't matter when we're like, if it was drawn at that time, we always be losing. I just don't know. I think we losing.
Yeah, 2-1.
Yeah. So I don't know what I think. I mean, people were saying he's Ange Postecoglou out of his depth. Is he flapping? Although he stands still, is he flapping and not using the players that he should be using, making decisions that are blatantly in front of everyone else, but not him? So I think he should.
Yeah, the interesting thing about it, what kind of spurs me on with this kind of viewpoint is that we've seen a lot where he wouldn't play Spence, right? And Spencer's coming in. I think Spencer's been brilliant, right? And I know he's injured, right? But it kind of just proved the point. He held up. He's not playing. He was not playing him. And it's only when he has to play him because the doggy gets injured that all of a sudden we see this young guy come in who's playing really, really well.
Well, that's what I mean. He's being forced to.
Why would that not happen with Lancashire? Why could we not get that out of Lancashire? He scored against Galatasaray. Let's remember.
Yeah. Well, again, he's being forced to use Spence, isn't he? And I just think he's out of his depth, to be honest with you. He's either flapping. He's like a swan, isn't he? Nice on top, flapping underneath, paddling like mad underneath the surface. Don't know. I don't know, Lee. I'm just.
I know we've got loads of injuries. I know we've got loads of injuries, right? And I understand it's a difficult position to be in, and all the rest of it, right? I get all of that, and I sympathise up to the point when he's then not utilising what he has got. I would much rather see us lose if he was making those sorts of decisions and saying, well, look.
Exactly.
I've got to play Reguilon, even though we're trying to let him go. I've got to play a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old, and two 18-year-olds because that's all I've got. You can live with that. Yeah. Like me personally, I can live with that. I can go, yeah, fair enough. You didn't win the game, but you've utilised what you've got. If Sar's not right to play, why are we potentially making his situation worse? Dean, let me come back to you and ask you this question. Right, because everyone's talking about it. How long do you think that Ange has got?
I think after the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
If he loses the Liverpool game and we lose that Liverpool game badly, I don't think he'll stay. Problem we've got, and it's the age-old question, mate, who comes in to replace him? Right? Who comes in to replace him? Part of me feels sorry for him, because of the injuries. And I mean, the amount of times we go, oh, but look at Bournemouth, they've got the same amount of injuries, but they're playing brilliant football. Yeah, we don't play as many games as we play. Right?
And they're not all first team players, right? Let's be clear.
Yeah, exactly.
Bournemouth players are not they're not their goalkeeper and their two best defenders. Like, yeah, and this kind of stuff, and their playmaker. Do you see what I mean? There is. Yeah. there's 10 injuries and then there's 10 injuries, right?
Yeah, horses for courses. But like I say, it's the thing that then lets Ange down is tactical nous or his decision making. You know, it's like you say, you take off Richarlison, striker. Right, we need another goal or at least 2 goals to win the game. Let's bring on another striker. No, he don't. He brings on a winger. Nothing's happening down that wing, right? Nothing's happening down the wings. We're so slow, and there's no point putting more wingers on because when you cross that ball, which Reggie done, no fuckers in there. Nobody's making the run, right? Son can't make the run. He's too slow now, and I don't know what's happened to that lad. I mean, he looks like he's carrying the world upon his shoulders, but he's always been that sort of player. You know, if we lose, he hurts badly. You know, you can't take that from him. So he doesn't deserve the abuse he gets because, he's one of our players. And I guess that don't help the squad either when they're constantly being vilified and booed and shouted at and screamed at, and being called all the wankers under the sun. Because you know yourself, mate, that don't make you go, oh, do you know what? I'll do better. I love this club. I'll do better. Now you go, well, fuck them then. If that's what they think of me, really, why am I pulling my pipe out when you're being screamed at all the time? It's a tough one for Ange, I think, but I think Liverpool game, then we lose that. We could be in a bit of trouble, but we win Europa the game on Thursday. He's still in the cup, isn't he? He's still in 3 cups. So, that's what he's there for. Would you take 15th place and win in one of them 3?
Yeah. No, it's a good point. It's a good point. I'll come back to that. Alex, let me ask you the question. Do you think the Carabao Cup is a trigger point? Do you think if we lose that, that's our best opportunity to because we're further in the competition, right? That's our best opportunity to win a cup. So do you think if Liverpool beat us in that, knock us out of that cup, do you think that's a trigger point for Ange to go?
I think it'll add more fuel to the fire. People will start screaming a bit louder. Possibly yes. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I think it might be. I think it might be because people just going to be getting. Because what is the point in keep going to watch them, trying to support them? When they're losing time after time after time. I mean, I'm debating whether or not to go Thursday. Because it's a lot of effort to get there just to watch them get smashed, probably. So, I think it's a very difficult time for us all to stay motivated and again want to see him and the team. Like Dean said, they're just too slow. By the time we make any attempt run up the pitch, everyone's in position. And by the time we get into their area, everyone's having a cup of tea there as well. They're camped out for the night. But the Liverpool game I think might be the crunch point, definitely.
I mean, Joe's asked the question: what about if we lose at Brentford? Will that be the reason to go? I personally don't think so. Right, the reason why I've targeted the Carabao Cup, right, and I might be totally wrong here, right, but Daniel Levy has been criticised heavily because of getting rid of Mourinho 6 days before a final, right? If Daniel Levy got rid of Ange Postecoglou now, being one game away from a final, I think he's had his fingers burnt on that question. And I think that's all that's holding him in. Because like so many people have said, Ange Postecoglou has really had a lot more time and money than any of the other managers under Daniel Levy. So something's holding him off, and I'm just wondering whether that's the catalyst that he don't want to lose him if a cup final is just around the corner. But bearing in mind that in the Europa League, if we win on Thursday, we go through without the playoff game. But you've still got games to go, so you've still got time for a new manager to come in and so on and so on. Yeah, Villa's again going to be another difficult game. But if we manage to get past that, you've still got a long way to go in the FA Cup. So there's still time for another manager. Mason, go on, what do you think?
Even then, like, we're looking at the dates now. So let's just say we go to Liverpool and we minimum get a draw, which keeps us in the competition. Okay,
without Madness.
Without Maddison. Okay, the final's March 28th. Half the squad won't even be back for that anyway. So maybe the conference is already gone. I've just looked up the final. March 28th, Wembley, obviously. But it's Solanke might not even be here.
Yeah.
Johnson might not be here. Madison is probably a doubt. Is Vicario going to be back? Is Udigie going to be back?
He's out for 3 weeks, Mason.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's over that, but you never know. He's out for 3 weeks. It might take him a week to get his fitness back. You don't know. It's just.
I think the last time Madison was out for a short period, he ended up out for a very long time.
Yeah, he did.
Because you start off with it'll be a couple of weeks, and then it turns into a couple of months. I've seen that with Madison last season. When he went off after those sort of 10 games, and that was it. He was never the same since coming back. Sorry, mate, go on, carry on what you're saying.
No, just to say, like, even if we do get to the final, is Ange going to be somewhat up there in contention to win it when half the squad might not even be there? So maybe that's another thing Levy's thinking of. Like, if he gets past Liverpool, he might sack him after that. He might get a manager who can deal with a bare-bones squad. But even then, going forward, if we lose that final, do you think he gets sacked at the end of the season when we're out of all 3 cup competitions, or after the Carabao? I think, me personally, it's going to be after the Europa League, because as bad as the Spurs, like the form we're in now, is, we are still favourites to win the whole thing. So is that another thing to keep him pushing? I don't think we have as good a chance as we did at the start of the season of winning Europa League, when we had a full squad and we were battering Villa 4-1, going Man United away 3-0, City away 4-0. I don't think we're as good as that, obviously not. But is that something in Levy's mind for, am I going to keep him to the end of the season after Europa? Because I think Europa League finals after the Premier League finishes, no?
I think it is, yeah. And normally the week after.
I think so. I think it's the week after the Premier League finishes, the Europa League finals on. So is he going to keep him that long? Or because, as I say, Van der Ven's expected to be in the squad on Thursday. Romero is the week after. So we could go to Anfield with a decent back line, but the issue now is no Maddison, no Solanke, probably no Richarlison, which is why I doubt we're going to do it. But in the next 3 days, we need a forward. But there's been no movement in the market either. So there's, as I said earlier, there's so many problems. I don't know what the biggest one is at Spurs.
Yeah. I mean, Branners has said on air, right? And it's a fair point, and it's the point we've all said, I guess, is a new manager's going to do what? He's got the same players, he's got the same injury problems and all the rest of it. Is that the other issue, in the fact that we haven't got anybody out there who you can kind of go, well, let's look who we've got as a manager coming in, who's going to inspire us. I mean, Lapper said to text me the other day, and he said, I'd take Gareth Southgate. And I said, where to? Where to?
Yeah, no.
Please don't bring him to Tottenham. And he said, I'll take him. And I get his frustration. But, let's be honest. Would you want Gareth Southgate running your football club? This is the problem, right? Even if we get rid of him, who's coming in? What options have we got?
It's not what Brad just said about a new manager to do what with the same players. It's a fair point, obviously. But that's not my opinion. I think that's just what Levy is going to do. Levy's thinking, shit, how do I get the blame off of me? Like he does every single manager. How do I get the blame off of me? Sack the manager. Get the fans hyped for the new one. That's all he's going to do. That's not me saying I want Ange to be sacked or I think he's going to be sacked. I'm just thinking what Levy's going through his mind. Does he keep him after Liverpool or after the Europa League? And I think it's either one of those 2 days. I don't think he gets sacked in between unless we lose an upset in the FA Cup. You've got to remember, like from a non-biased point, we have had the hardest run in the Carabao Cup. Man City, Man United, probably another one I'm missing. But just so on, we've had the hardest run in the Cup. He's got to be back to a little bit. And even then, when we played City, we were still down to a bare-bones squad. So maybe Ange can be this cup manager. Like what Dean said earlier, would you take 15th for a trophy? I don't mind the idea of that. But at the same time, I don't want to finish 15th. It's just, it's a really hard.
Well, I'd take 15th. I'd take 15th, right, as a guaranteed. If we're gonna take a cup, right? Only because I think, well, we're down there anyway, and if we ain't getting relegated, if we're definitely not going to get relegated, then you know, I'll take it, because I want to start winning something, because I think as soon as you win a cup, that gives you the opportunity to build on that and start moving forward, because I think that's where we are. Dean, I just to come to you, just on this thing about Ange again, right? Is, do you think maybe there is an element where Levy is saying, look, I've had to nail my colours to the mast. I've tried everything else. I've tried so many different managers of all these different projects. They've never got anywhere apart from Pochettino, who we didn't back for whatever reason, stadium and all that stuff. I then went for a couple of win now managers. That didn't work out because their ethos is different from my ethos. At least with Ange, I know what I'm getting. I know what he's trying to do. I'm aligned to his plan. But there are extenuating circumstances. We've got all the injuries and all that sort of stuff, and we are still in cup. Do you think he's maybe thinking to himself, you know, I've got to give him a chance to start putting it right, because so much is stacked against him?
The thing with Ange, the only thing that's keeping the fans' voices down about Ange is that Levy didn't back him in this fucking window.
Yeah.
If Levy had given him another couple of free players in this window, they wouldn't be singing Levy out; they'd be singing Ange out, guaranteed. Because he hasn't done enough. But against the big boys, we play really well. You know, it's against the lower teams where we should, like Ipswich. That Ipswich game started this really well. Apart from obviously the Chelsea game, but the Ipswich game, that was like the slippery slope. Hang on a minute, we should be smashing Ipswich.
Yeah.
Then Palace, right? Then, like I say, Leicester. All right, we smashed Southampton, but that's it, right? And people go, oh, the only reason we're going to stay up is because there's 3 worse teams. We've lost against them at fucking home too. So how can you say, right? Oh, yeah, there's 3 worse teams, mate. We're shit. You look at form. We are. I think we're 19th. Only Southampton's below us.
Yeah.
You know, we are in fucking trouble. And if you don't think you are, then, mate, I've been there. You've been there, right? 1976 season. Yeah, hottest summer. Lovely Spurs fucking down the drain, mate. I was fucking watching it. And it's like, it is a soul crusher.
Yeah.
And this is like it. This is really, really like it. The only difference is now, we go and watch every fucking game, and it makes it even 10 times worse because we're paying to watch the shit fucking happen in front of our own eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, all right, and I understand that. I just do think to myself, you know, there has been games where we've played really well, and when it clicks and it works. But I just can't hold on to that. You know, I mean, you know, to see us beat City, to see us beat Villa and West Ham and Brentford and Everton and all those teams, and we smashed them all. You know, the Southamptons and when it worked, it really worked. But the trouble is, I can't see where that next smashing's coming. I just can't see where it's going to go. So, you know, I'm just getting really, really worried about it. Just going on to the protests against Daniel Levy. For me, it was the loudest I've ever seen. Let me just play this clip I took on the day. It's only 17 seconds, right? If this works, let me just add it in here. See if it comes out. I mean, that was at the end of the game from my vantage point in the South Stand. I don't know where you guys were, whether you had exactly the same kind of things going on around you or whatever. But I have to say, that was probably the loudest that I've ever heard, like the chants about Levy, and not just at the end there. It was throughout the game. And I know they put the music on, really churned it up loud and all the rest of it. But I guess my point around it is the fact that we have started to do that, and it's now getting into the mainstream media as well. There's lots of people talking about it. I mean, they even had to wheel out Dawson today to kind of counter it and say that the players feel it when you're chanting against the owner, and Ange has been asked about it as well. Do we think that that will make any difference whatsoever. Alex, what do you think?
No, not one iota, mate. They're in another world. They were saying on the radio that Levy's kind of he's created a great entertainment company, and he's left the football behind because he's not bothered, mate. You can scream and shout all you want. He's not going to change. Although how frustrating it is, all the processes in the world aren't going to shift him. The only people that can shift him are the people above him. So if he upsets them, then obviously, yep, they give him the boot. But they're not bothered, mate. They're not bothered because they know
equal to them, right?
they know. Well, they know we're going to go every week. So
I mean, he's equal with them, right? Because he's a part owner, along with Enoch and all the rest of it. He owns part of the club and all that. I think it'd be, it'd be a miracle to get him out. I guess the one thing I say about the protests is that it is stirring it up. It is having an impact in terms of letting people know how you feel. I don't think he'll ever sell it. And I said this the other day to someone else. Even if he sold it, would he actually sell everything, or would he just sell the football and lease the ground? Or would he just even lease the ground? Because you make so much money out of loads of other stuff that actually, for him, he can carry, because he's got the hotel to come this year or next year, whatever it is. You've got the apartments that they want to build. He owns half the high street. He ain't going to walk away, is he?
No. But like you say, you just probably hit the nail on the head there, mate. I mean, maybe you should just step down from the football and concentrate on the other stuff. But would that happen? Can that happen? Just as much as everyone's protesting, mate. He's not gonna shift. He's really not going to shift.
I agree with you. I don't think he is going to shift. But I still think that they should protest in terms of.
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong.
I'm not necessarily talking about being outside with across the road like they have been. I don't think that makes it. Personally, I would say protest outside the shop, right, where all the tourists are going in. Yeah, protest outside the shop if you can. I guess it's difficult because the security and all that there might move you on or whatever. But somewhere a bit more prominent than the other side of the road to the shop, I think make things a little bit harder. In terms of the booing in the stadium and the singing in the stadium, I thought that was okay. And at the end of the game, the players came round and they was clapped. They was clapped and they was cheered. The majority of them, without any kind of issues.
But see, that's the thing, though, Lee. I mean, so he's not going anywhere. If you want to hit him somewhere, hit him in the pocket, right? And that's all you can do. If you want, and then you might get some sort of movement. But then you watch the players, and they put in a poor performance, I suppose. Right? I mean, I just like watching them play, but they put a poor performance in. They come round, and everyone still claps them. I mean, just stand there. I'll just stand there with my arms folded. That's it. Because if it's not, produce the goods, then what are we clapping them for? And I know that,
is it? It's not every player. Right? Like, to be fair, Personally,
there's no I in team, mate. It's a team effort. You know what I mean? It's if
there's no I in team, but there is I in pie, apparently.
Oh. Well, anyway. I mean, how do you get the message across? They obviously know that all the fans. I shouldn't think it's not one fan that's not happy with their performance at the moment. So how do you get that message across? So
no, you have to. But I just, like Dean said earlier, I just don't think targeting specific players or whatever really helps the play.
Not saying that. I'm not saying booing any players. I'm not saying ridicule any players. Picking them out. I'm just saying I ain't clapping. I'm just going to stand there with my arms folded, looking at them. And that's it. I'm not going to boo. I wouldn't boo them. But I'm just going to protest by folding my arms. I'm not going to. I'm not one of these people who's going to start slagging my own team up, as in like each player. If I'm not happy, I'll just stand there. I ain't going to clap you if I think you've done shit, and I've just spent all my money and time that I'm not going to get back to come and watch this with expectations that are never being met week after week. What have I got to clap about?
Yeah.
So,
No.
what have they got to clap about? I mean, they're the ones that have got to look in the mirror. And no doubt, they are competitive people. They're not like me and you, or us. They are a different breed. And I should imagine they are equally disappointed with their performances. But if they can't work it out, well, who can work it out? Who can work out what's going wrong?
Well, that's the manager's job, right? But I want to ask you this thing, because you mentioned about him stepping down or whatever. Oh, it might have been Alex actually, but just to come back on that point, right? My understanding was that when Ange took over and everything, then they brought in a football head of football operations or whatever, a guy by the name of Scott Munn.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question is, where's Scott Munn? What's happened to him? Like, we're getting protests against Levy, who's the owner of the club. But if he's supposed to have stepped back from all the signings and from all the football business, and this Scott Munn's supposed to be taken over, where's he gone?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? And everybody knows, and everybody has said it throughout, Daniel's tenure. He micromanages. He can turn around and say, well, I put this guy in charge now, or it's nothing to do with me. He's in charge. Don't look at me, although I'm the one that's going, you can have some money for this. You're allowed to have a bit of money there. You want them? Oh, we can't afford him, right? So he's but him. It's him. It's him over. He's like, him over there. Not me. Not me. Him. It fuck off, is it, mate? It's like, King Charles, right? Head of the monarchy, makes fuck all decisions. It don't matter what he does, and that's what Scott Munn's like. He's like, hey. But it's Daniel who's in the parliament. He's the one that's making all the rules, all the laws, and handing out all the money. So, yeah, it sounds like Johan Lang. What's he done this fucking window? Absolutely nothing. Yeah? Paratici, still supposed to be flowing around a cup somewhere. Nothing. You don't hear of any of them. So no matter what he does, it's always him. And I've said, we've had this discussion with Alex before. The guy that's the football liaison officer, right? He's had many things. He's even holding up doing all the subs now, right? That's Alan. That's his brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So if the player liaison officer is sitting there going, what? Oh yeah, but you're paid millions and millions of pounds. What? Dan? Yeah, he's not happy. He's not happy. Yeah, and said some hurty words, and they don't want to play anymore. So you're going to get that going back. It can't just be Ange. It can't just be the players. I mean, that banner said it all, didn't it?
Yeah.
24 years, 16 managers, 1 trophy. Everybody in that time, the 24 years tenure of Levy, every fucker in there has changed, apart from Levy.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody has changed. Same shit. Right? It's the same shit. It's different day. Same geezer at the top. It's not rocket science to work out where the problem lies. But Daniel ain't going. Commercially, he's a fucking genius. Look at what he's built. Yeah, the training ground, the fucking. But you can't do that when you're clever enough to get a shit ton of money from someone and go, oh, this is what I've built, right? Because he hasn't laid a brick personally. He hasn't fucking mowed the grass or nothing like that. He's just saying, this is what I want. So, fair play to him on the commercial side of things. And going back to the flats and the hotel, where's that money coming from? We ain't got no money to buy players, but we've got money to buy this fucking great big hotel. What's that? That ain't going to be free, Bob, is it? It's going to be fucking hundreds of, not millions.
Yeah, but that money's coming, as I understand it, that the commercial buildings and all the rest of it is a different company to the football team. I think they're kind of separate, so they raise that money however they raise that kind of money, because that's investment. But in terms of the football, you have to spend what you're earning for your football team, and that's all that sort of financial fair play nonsense and all that sort of stuff. But I get your point, right? My question around this is if Scott Munn is supposed to be the chief football officer, he should be coming out now and talking about the strategy. He should be doing the interviews. He should be taking some of that pressure off of the manager, because he shouldn't be answering questions about how does it feel hearing Daniel Levy's name getting chanted because the fans ain't happy with him? That's not a question for the manager of a football team, is it? To be honest,
no, of course not.
That's for the business to kind of talk about and sort out. In my
What
view,
does Scott Munn sound like, Lee? What is Scott Munn's
I've never seen him. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he does.
He's Australian.
But he's obviously earning a lot of money. But what's he doing for it? What's he doing for it?
Same as Timo Werner.
Yeah, sounds like
the thing is, though, going back to your point earlier about is Levy going to leave? He's giving all the telltale signs that he's trying to build something up to sell. Why the fuck do we need a hotel? He won't sell, but he's building up the assets. For God knows, it could be the revenue, it could be anything else, but he's building these assets. These new partners. There's a new partner every day, I swear. Next week we're going to have a toilet paper partner. Mark my words. Yeah. Every week there's a new partner.
With that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a new partner every week. There's a new asset every week. There's new people coming to the stadium every week that are getting announced. I think we've got the Chris Eubank Jr. fight coming up. I don't even remember when that was announced, but I've just been offered an email about it. I think he won't sell. I'll tell you that right now. But he's given the sign that he's building up the assets, and I don't know why. Because at the end of the day, it's our money that's going there, and we're getting no return. We're seeing hotels that are going to be for more tourists. There'll be a package deal. Watch that. After the hotel's done, package deal. People to fly from Korea and they can stay in a hotel. That's what they'll do. 100%.
Yeah.
That's what it's there.
Let me just jump in, Lee, first.
Not allowed to say that.
Yeah, I am just jumping in. Right. I said this exact same thing as Mason said when he appointed Mourinho. Right. He was building something to make it saleable to an investor. He's had investors come in and he's fucked them off.
Yeah.
Right. Why would you sell something that is such a massive cash cow? Right. You just wouldn't. The amount of money or the amount of shares the guy's got, it's ridiculous amount. He owns so much of that firm. Why would you give that away? You just wouldn't. I mean, that's what they used to say. Yeah, there used to be a football team over there, but that comes not even second, third, or fourth. You look on the outside there; it's like F1 Drive, NFL, and then Spurs. Right? Without Spurs, fucking that would be nothing. It would be absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
but he doesn't care about the fans.
I was actually going to make that exact point, right? That what comes first is the football team. Put your hands up if you want to stay in a hotel in Tottenham.
Oh, thanks.
Do you know what I mean? No one wants to stay in a hotel.
I don't want to go to Tottenham to watch Tottenham.
Right? No one wants to do that. But people will do it, like you say. They'll come over from Korea or Japan or America or wherever it might be. They'll come over. They'll get a package deal. A ticket to the game, a tour of the stadium, a hotel room, a chance to dive off the top of the bloody stadium, all that kind of stuff will be all wrapped up. We'll go on the F1 track and all the rest of it. The other point around it is that they've got to build flats, and some of them will be sellable flats, and I think some of them are social housing that they have to put in because every time you build something, you have to have social element of it, especially in London. But I think the other thing is he owns half the high road, right? So there was talk about having a Wembley Way type thing from the train station into the stadium, and that, so he can capture all of those eateries and drinking establishments and all the rest of it. The guy just wants to I think he wants to turn Tottenham into the London Borough of Levy, right?
He does.
I think he just wants to take it all over, and I think that's what he's doing. And I just don't see a time where he walks away from the football club, because, like you say, there is millions and billions of pounds to be made, even outside of the football, right? From a hotel and from flats and from all those other establishments. There's so much that he can make from it that why would he want to walk away from it? That's why I say if he ever sold the football team, I think he'd probably be more likely to put the ground on a long-term lease, so that the football team would lease the stadium and he'd still have all the rights to everything else that goes on there. That to me is where we go. So I just don't see a time when we get rid of him. But that's not to say I don't support the idea of singing "We Want Levy Out" and all the rest of it. I think the most likely thing to happen is he'll just stop going to watch the games, or he'll watch them from inside his private box rather than sitting out on the.
He'll do a Joe Lewis, won't he? He'll just be on his yacht in the Bahamas watching the game and then turning it off as soon as we go 1-0 down. But the thing is with everything that's going on is that this is a genuine question. I do not know. Are we still in stadium debt? Well, surely we are. It's £1 billion. We haven't paid off £1 billion. Is that what's holding us back? Is he waiting for investment to come in and say, right, can you now spend the football money? I'm doing this. Is that what? Because he's been fishing for investors for ages. I don't know what's going on at all.
But as I've understood it, listening to a lot of people talking about it, and even Daniel Levy talks about it, they've got a very reasonable amount of debt that is manageable. I think he talked about it at the Oxford Union when he did a speech there. And one of the things he talked about was, you're not really in debt. If you can make those payments and all the rest of it, and they've got a very favourable finance package that allows them to sell that to finance the stadium. And I think all those other things that are coming in, that all just goes into the pot to pay it off. And I don't think it stops us from being able to buy players. I just genuinely think that they're gone down this road of data-driven players, but maybe they just can't get them. I don't know what's stopping it. I don't subscribe to the idea of, it's just a few million quid here and Levy just won't pay it. I don't really subscribe to that. I think it's probably a lot more to it than that.
But what annoys me is at the moment, like when we appointed Lange, he used to be years ago, and I think the only decent signing I can remember him making was the window where we got Ericsson and the other about 8 or 9 players we signed from the Bale money. That is the only decent signing he made for Spurs. He fucked off to Villa. To be fair, done a good job at Villa, but he's come here. I don't know what he's done. Paratici, as you said that, Dean, an alert on my phone, I've got all the Twitter notifications. Someone just went, reminder, Paratici ban finishes July 30th this year. So maybe Lange is only here for a temporary fix, or he's gone. But I have no idea what's going on in terms of behind the scenes. It seems like everything's a mess. But Paratici, you got to remember, when he was here, everyone was singing his praises. What Romero, Porro, Udigi, Kulusevski, Bentancur, like decent signings. And then, Lange is here. Who's he signed? Who has he signed? I don't know. Solanke was a target before he come, so you can't even say Solanke. That's what annoys me, is that Paratici was doing such a good job, got the ban, and we've hired in some bloke who has had a bad track record at our club before. That is what annoys. And then Scott Munn's supposed to be overseeing all of this, like we said earlier, but he's not.
Yeah, I mean that's the other question, right? So I said about Scott Munn, what's he doing? I mean the other question is, what is the recruitment team doing? I mean, I can't believe that they sit around and then all of a sudden go, shit, it's the 1st of January. We better start doing something. Surely you are planning for your windows ahead of time. Like you're doing that all year. You're going, right, okay, so these are the players we want to get in. These are the positions. This is where we can see these contracts ending. These are players that are out there whose contracts are ending within this time. We'll make contact with. Surely there must be work going, because it ain't just one bloke. It ain't just this Langer bloke. There must be a whole crew of scouts and all that sort of stuff talking about this sort of thing. And to not be able to deliver any signings, to me, it just beggars belief.
It's typical Levy in terms of, or the typical Spurs recruitment, is that the 2 targets we are looking at that are consistent with every top magazine or reporter is that we want Gomez in the summer from Lille, like the ex-United player. English fella, because apparently Levy messed up the English numbers at the start of the season. And Tyler Dibbling. And Dibbling's at Southampton, and he's another 18-year-old. So Levy, the strategy again seems to be 18-year-old profit in a few years. 18-year-old profit in a few years. Go free signing, because Gomez is leaving on a free. That's the only thing I can see Levy doing is free. We're interested in free signings and youngsters, and that's what's really getting on my nerves.
Alex, do you think we're going to sign anyone this window?
No. No, I reckon there would have been rumours by now or some sort of movement, unless it's the lastminute.com thing to make us all tune into TalkSport. But no, I don't think we will.
I think if we don't sign
anyone, we have to, but I don't think we will.
It's a disaster, right? If we don't sign any more players, it's a disaster, right?
We're just going to be going round and round and round in circles. I mean, what they expected, all of a sudden it clicks, and that's it. Here we go. But whether it's players being injured in training or players being ill or not having a full team, we're just going round and round and round in circles. So even if we did sign someone, who would want to come to Tottenham at the moment?
Well, this is the difficult bit, right? We don't pay the top dollar like some clubs do.
That's another thing. The money.
And we're in 15th position. There's loads of injuries and stuff like that. So are we a club that people kind of aspire to play for? You'd like to think you are. Dean, what's your view? Do you think we're getting any signings? Do you think anyone's going to sign in the end or not?
No, I'll tell you what. You talk about like Tyler Dibley. We've got more chance to get fucking Wayne Dibley, mate, more than fucking Tyler Dibley. It's so frustratingly, it really, really is. There's players out there you could go for, but they all want the wages, and we don't pay big wages. And that it's not so much we don't buy big money signings like Richarlison, 65, Solanke, 60 million, 18-year-old, 40 million. So we do pay the money.
Yeah.
It's the ongoing money. It's the wages. He doesn't like a high wage bill. That's why he's trying to get rid of them all, right? So his wage bill come down. Again, I think you looked at the earnings to the spend on wages. We was 19th in that league on how much we earned to how much we spent out on wages. 19th, and we're supposed to be one of the richest clubs in not just in Europe, but in the world.
I know it does beg a belief. It does beg a belief, and it's a real worrying time. I'm the same as you. I just can't see who we're going to sign, and that's even going to touch the surface. Because for me, I just feel like there's so many problems there. Like we need a defensive midfielder. We need a number 6, someone who can break up the play, sit in front of the defence and really dictate the game, give it to a playmaker, whether that be Bergvall or Maddison or someone of that kind of nature. We need someone in there.
We've got one, Lee. We've got a guy that would sit in front of that defence. He's out on loan, and we've had this conversation before. We miss him, but he's still on loan, isn't he? Højbjerg,
yeah. Yeah, but I get that. I get with Højbjerg, and I'm not against Højbjerg. I was disappointed to see him go. He wasn't the best. He made mistakes, but as a player that you could bring on late in a game to help you hold on to a lead and all the rest of it, you can't complain. The amount of times he came on and did enough to keep us in the game.
Exactly.
I think is obvious, but he wants to play football, right? He ain't going to want to come in and pick up that position of just doing it. But we need someone who can do that consistently the whole time. Now, in the long term, that may well be Archie Gray. I don't know, but Archie Gray's still 18 and he's playing lots and lots of football when he wasn't expected to.
I'm just doing a bit of looking up now in terms of what. That's all good. In terms of what's going on now, there you go. Solomon as well on loan.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I can say it on the podcast, but I think the only reason he got loaned out is because of he pissed off a lot of people with his political views. I won't say more than that, but that was apparently the main thing why he got loaned out. To
be honest, I don't think it's controversial. I don't even think that's controversial because I think that's true. He's an Israeli and he's sticking up for his country and his people, which is his prerogative, right?
Exactly.
He doesn't necessarily have to represent the views of the club or the fans or anybody else, but he's entitled to his opinion, right?
I think that's what I'm saying, because we've got to remember.
I think because we're known as a Jewish club and all the rest of it, they don't want to be too associated with that. And I think that's why he's out. But he's ripping it up for playing for Leeds, and he was decent for us before he got injured.
That's literally what I was about to say. Everyone forgets, Solomon is shit. Solomon is shit. They all go off the Instagram posts and the stigma and the media of what Solomon was. Solomon's last start for us got 3 assists. I know it was Burnley, but he would have helped out at Leicester. He would have helped out at Palace. He would have helped out at Ipswich. He's that player. That's just what his role is. But what I was going to say as well is about Werner at the moment, and when we're talking about the wages, I wanted to jump in, but I didn't want to interrupt, is that Werner at the moment, Levy's done a decent job with the wages, keeping them down and getting quality in. Because in terms of players, Werner's on 165,000 a week, right? Yeah. Van der Ven's on 50. He's on a third of that. So in terms of bringing young quality talent in with the wages, Archie Gray's probably on way less. But it's the fact that you got players like Werner who are just eating up at the wage bill, that's 3 Van der Vens right there. I get what Levy's doing in terms of wages, but we need players now who are going to help, not a Timo Werner who gets injured, can't score, can't help out the team, on 3 times, arguably, more money than our best defender. I find it ridiculous. It's just money's poorly spent, money's getting wasted. We've got a hotel being built. It's just 1 minute he's smart, which is why I hate Levy in terms of his spending, but he's a clever bloke. That's what I like him in terms of his money spent. Van der Ven, 50k a week. Romero, I think he's on less than Werner. Son, I think he's on less than. I think Werner's our top earner right now. Maddison as well. He can bring in the low wages and keep the wage bill low, but when he needs to spend high, his brain turns off. Team over 165 grand a week is baffling to me.
They should have sent him back at the end of last season. They should have sent him back at the end of last season. I said it at the time. He wasn't the sort of bloke you needed in, and I think they only gave him the option to stay because he was injured for part of it, and they thought he could contribute. But for me, I'd never wanted him to stay. I personally, I've never been his biggest fan. I know, Dean, you've kind of had some views about him and all the rest of it, but for me, it's a real waste of money. And now we're paying him 165 grand a week to sit on the bench or to sit in the injury room and contribute nothing. And he'll disappear off to America or wherever it is.
Yeah, that's the link. Is
at
America.
The end of the season. So,
but then a link today apparently that in the Harry Kane deal, this was ages ago. Like Fab tweeted us out. We have a first come dib loan thing for Matthias Tell, and he just announced that he wants to leave Bayern like today. So whether we go in and do something, or Chelsea's been sniffing around him, maybe it could be Werner out, Matthias Tell in the next 3 days. But I highly doubt that. I mean, I'm just being optimistic.
Yeah. Listen, time's ticking on. Just a couple of very quick questions. Kind of yes or no answers, I guess, for this one. Dean, are we going to get relegated? Is it a real possibility?
It's a possibility, but I don't think we will. I think we'll have enough about us just to keep us. We could end up like 15th, 16th still, but I don't see us getting relegated. But that's hope talking rather than like brain talking.
Yeah, Alex, what do you think? Do you think would you think we're going to get relegated?
No, I don't think we're going to get relegated. I think we're going to scrape through. We don't want to upset Everton with their new ground, do we?
But, have a better stadium in the Championship than them.
Championships League, yeah. So they spent a lot of money and effort on that one. But no, I don't think we're going to go down. It's just a very disappointing season. That's all I can boil it down to.
Mason?
No, I don't think we will get relegated, but it should be spoken about. And the only reason we aren't going to get relegated is because there's 3 teams worse than us, but we have lost to 2 of them. So figure that one out.
And we've still got to play them. And we've still got to play them again as well.
We've still got to play them, yeah. That's the shocking part.
Yeah, and we're away. And so the real disappointing thing about that is you've got to play those teams away, and we lost to them at home. So it's a real worry because our away form is absolutely terrible. Me personally, I honestly don't believe that we will be relegated because, like you said, I think there's some worse teams in the league than us, and I think they're too far behind us. I think we should be able to pick up enough points just to get out of it, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I am worried about it. I am looking at their results, which we shouldn't be. We should be looking at what's happening up the road at the top end of the table, not looking over our shoulders at the bottom.
We still got our features.
Yeah, just to finish off, obviously we've got Elfsborg on Thursday night. On Thursday night in the Europa League. Dean, score prediction. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll win it quite comfortably 3-0. But again, it depends on what Ange puts on. This is the game that keeps him also keeps him in his job as well. If you get that, you're in Europa League. You win Europa League, which we could do, although there's still some really good teams in there. If you win that game, win that cup, we're in the Champions League, aren't we?
Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? It gets you to the Champions League.
15th and then the Champions League. Fuck me, how's that work?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is crazy. But we have got some real injuries in that. So I'm not sure what players he can actually put out for this game. Alex, what's your score prediction for Elfsborg?
Do I have to answer?
Yes.
Well, yeah, no, 2-0. I think we're play. We're come on top. So got to keep positive. I'm not speaking to you three again. I feel thoroughly depressed now after tonight's little session. But no, I think we could be 2-0 win, mate.
Okay. Mason, what's your score prediction?
Score predictions, I'm going to go for cheeky 2-0. But looking at Elfsborg now, I didn't realise this, they're above the league phase table in the Europa League than 4 teams we've already played in Europa League. I did not know that. They're above Roma, they're above Hoffenheim, they're above Ferencváros, and they're above Karabag. And they're not in, I mean, they are in trouble of dropping out the league, but it all depends if they can get a point. That's the problem we have here. But I think it's going to be a more difficult game than we realise, but obviously with injuries. But I think 2-0.
Just want to tell Bradders it's a long drive if we want to come down and watch the football.
Yeah, but the beer is cheap, to be honest. Although you won't be able to drink much of it because you've got to drive all the way back.
No, that I'll be driving. Yeah, go on.
I was looking at Elfsborg's scores earlier on today to see how they got on, and they beat Roma, I think.
Yeah, they did.
They scored. I think they scored 2 goals against Galatasaray as well. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to be as easy as we like to think they're going to be. I think they're going to be a bit more difficult, especially with all the injuries. I just do wonder who he's going to be able to put out, to be honest with you, because obviously you've got the guys that can't play in the Europa as well. So your Kinski can't play, your Yang can't play, Region can't play. So. Because I put Region in my team, so why can't we just put Region in rather than Gray at the and they were, it's Europa, he can't play, and I was like, oh yeah. So I think it's going to be difficult. I personally, I think Richie may well play, and I think this could be quite, because I can't see us keeping a clean sheet. So I've kind of gone with a 3-2 because I think they let goals in, we let goals in. And it'll be another one of those really difficult one. And Brandon said you can stay at his house. He's got some bunk beds.
I'm not falling for that one. That old chat up line. as the doors got locks on them.
Yeah. Well, look, listen. Anyway, guys. We've actually gone to an hour and 8 minutes and thoroughly depressed each other. And we're probably depressed all the people that have watched the video have been sat here watching us talk about it, because it's a pretty disappointing and desperate time at the moment. But I'm hoping that these things are going to turn around very, very, very quickly. So all that's left to say, yeah, of course you have. We're Tottenham till we die, right? Tottenham till I die. We have to kind of keep going and see where it takes us. But listen, all that's left to say is thank you again, guys, for coming on and sharing this hour with me and. Not making me feel better, but letting me get it off my chest. Letting me get it off my chest as well.
Just make sure you answer your texts later, Lee. Otherwise, we'll all be worried.
Yeah. A big thank you to all those in the who've been watching and commenting in the chat. It's good to know that you're there. I'll be back. I'm going to go and watch the game with Bradders on Thursday at the club, and hopefully we can come away with a win there and. Everything will look brighter on Friday. But until then, I'll speak to you on the next one. Up the Spurs.
Go on, the Spurs.